All right, welcome back to another exciting video. All right, I'm actually in my shop and I'm working on a project. You guys probably saw the hidden bookcase door project. Well, this is for that same house, and downstairs they have a very narrow pantry, and they would like to have a door covering up a door to access the pantry. But they want the door to be basically like a 4-inch deep door with shelves on it to store wine. So I figured I would film this and maybe we'll find it interesting. I'm gonna do another crazy latch like I did on the bookcase door. So I'll just give you, I usually don't draw stuff out, but this one is another one of those that just requires it to be exact. There's no fudge room. So what I've done, you can ignore all these other drawings on here. This is actually drawings from the bookcase. We're looking at this part here. And basically we have a door this is a cross section through the middle of it. We have a door that is 25 inches from this side to this side. These are the jambs. And it's going to be about the inside where the wine's going to go is going to be about 4 inches. There'll be a little 3/4 inch rail on the front to keep the wine bottles from rolling out. And there's a 1/2 inch oak plywood back on the back. This is all going to be made out of oak. So, had to go get some wine bottles. And unfortunately, it's so narrow, I can't put the wine bottles like this. There's not enough room. So, they're going to have to overlap. And that's why I'm making, the wine bottles aren't 4 inches, but I'm going to make the opening 4 inches, the cradle, so that they can bypass each other and we can get 2 bottles per shelf in there. So there's that part. And it's just a regular looking door with a bunch of shelves. But the latch, I got to make up some kind of a latch so that you can reach inside the face frame here and move a latch to lock and unlock the door, because you can't get a regular doorknob. It's not going to work. And so this is what I've come up with. Basically, I've got some This is actually 5/16 bar stock and some flat stock. So this flat stock is this piece. And this bar stock there'll be a little piece welded on the end here that you can grab onto and move up and down. The same bar stock is going to be the pivot point. I'll probably put a nylon washer in there so that it will move freely. And I thought about how am I going to attach this to get, let's see here. This piece here is the left-hand side of the actual door that the shelves will all join to. And it's tapered like this because when the door hinges open, it has to have room for clearance. So that's why this tapers. And so anyway, this rod, the 5/16 rod, that's going to be the pivot point. There's going to be a washer on the other side. And I decided that I'm just going to make this and peen this over with a hammer so that you won't be able to take it apart. It's going to be a one-shot deal. So anyway, the end of the lever arm is another piece of that same rod that sticks through. And there'll be a elongated hole in the side of the bookcase here. And there'll be another simple latch, just like on the bookcase door. Now, I also figured that I'm going to have to do some kind of a spring on the bottom of this to continually pull it down because it's not counterbalanced and I don't want it always in the up position. So there'll be some kind of a spring attached to the bottom of the bar stock here that and probably mounted somehow into the lower shelf here that will continually pull that latch down. So it'll go in and click in place, and you'll have to push down on this lever to open up the door. I'm not going to get to that right now because I'm going to end up building the door, the whole thing, and then making this up. Yeah, making this up here in the shop. That'll be the last part of the build. Anyway, it doesn't look like much, but I had to get it. This is a lot. This is more critical than most, so I drew it out. So I am going to be using some oak that went through the kiln. Either some of that quarter sawn oak there, or some of this flat sawn stuff here. And I checked it with a moisture meter. It's probably 14%, 15%. Not quite dry enough for most stuff, but I'm just making shelves out of it, and I don't care if it shrinks a little bit. Nobody will ever know. So it's not like I'm making cabinet doors. So I am going to use it, stuff that I sawed and went the first batch of stuff that went through the kiln. All right, I'm going to give you an update along the way. That's probably the filming method I'm going to choose in this one. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but you'll get bored. All right. That's the beginning. Hopefully it works out and they can put their wine on a shelf. All right, I've figured that that's the 1/2-inch plywood for the back. I only need half of it, which is nice. We'll use the other half on one of their other projects at their house, but I roughed out, that's all the shelves. Those are the two sides of the door itself. And this is all stock for jambs and face frames. And that's it for today. Tomorrow, I'm going to start actually cutting some of this stuff to the final sizes and getting it ready to start assembling. Well, welcome back to the shop. I apologize, I haven't brought the camera down and filmed anything. I keep forgetting it. I did get the face frame glued up yesterday, and we're going to take the clamps off and do some sanding and glue it onto this is the shelves. The back's obviously not on. I've got all the hinge pockets mortised out, except I made a mistake because I didn't take into account the face frame being glued on here. So I'm gonna glue the face frame on and reroute this and actually fill these in. These will never be seen because the door, the door doesn't open so far that you'll actually look around the corner and see these pieces here. So I'm not worried about that. And I've already got this side prepped. This is the latch side prepped for the latch, which I'm going to make. Of course, it's not completely done, but it's close. So I'm going to get the face frame sanded and glued onto this morning. And then later today, I'll be able to take the clamps off, sand the face frame, and staple on the back. And we're getting closer because that's all the jams. So yeah, I haven't filmed anything like I said I would. Oh well, this is going to be a short video, so I'm making it extra short. All right, I got the shelf part on the bench. And I've got the face frame part, which I've already fit. Looks good. And in warming up. It's not quite warm enough in here for the glue to dry, so I'm going to put glue on here, clamp with 6 clamps. Get this face frame glued in, clamped in place, and bring it into next to the wood stove where the heat is, and put on the remainder of the clamps, and it will have the best chance to completely, the glue will have a chance to cure properly. I could have tried to heat up the finish room and put it in there, but I wasn't thinking about that. So I'm going to do this. It'll be fine. And then we'll give it a couple hours at least to dry before I bring it out here and sand the face frame and put the back on. Now you can see why I couldn't carry it in here. It's nice and warm in here. The glue will dry properly, and a couple hours at least. I'm going to come back and take the clamps off, sand it, and move on to the next step. All right, there's your update. All right, I got all the clamps off. I got it all sanded. I wet it and I sanded it again. I still have to break all these edges and mess with this, but it's not too bad. You see this one here, it's got these sticks sticking out. It actually was installed the wrong way around. These screws are what I helped hold it in place while I routed these. And I think once they're dry and cut off and sanded, you probably won't ever see them. This is what I came up with for the baseboard. So there's going to be, this surface is flush with the wall. It's going to fit in an opening with jambs and casing on here. So the casing and this piece of baseboard will be flush. So I had to, that's just too plain. I could have left it like that, even though it's a beautiful piece of wood. I decided to put a piece of baseboard. This piece of baseboard does not match the rest of the baseboard, but I figured it's pretty decorative. So I got that going on. And as you can see, the mortises are all cut wrong, which I talked about. Maybe you can see that. They were cut wrong, maybe. And so this is the jig I'm going to use. I'm going to actually glue a piece in here. And I'm not decided. I think I'm actually going to cut this out using this router and that jig to finish the cut, the proper cuts, and then I'll fill this in down here afterwards. I think that way I can move ahead and I can put these in after that's routed and put a clamp on it and keep moving ahead. So there's that part. I got the back all cut, a piece of edge tape put on it, which I now have to cut or trim down. And yeah, I think tomorrow I'm going to work on the latch. Hopefully that actually works out, because I've already got holes cut in the side. All right, there's one. Hopefully you saw that. Got 3 more to do. All right, it's Friday morning for me. Plan is to get, anyways, this is what I got done this morning. I got practically everything assembled. I have the back all ready to go. I put the jambs on, all the hinges line up nicely. I put a little baseboard on here. The last thing to do to this is to sand all of these pieces. The edges have got to all be broken inside and out and around the edge here. All that's got to be done. That's going to take me a little bit. It's kind of finicky. And then the last thing to do, well, before finishing it, is going to be making the latch. So I think once I get this all sanded up, I'm going to stand it all up somewhere and try to fasten it in place so that I can work on the latch and open it up and close it like it is actually, you know, like it would be once it's finally installed. I think that's going to be the most accurate thing. So got a little bit of sanding to do, and then it's some metal work, and I'll try to show you that as I get that done. All right, this is what I came up with. I got that 2x6, and it's plumb. It represents the stud in the wall, and because the screws poked through, I had to put a filler in here. And I've got the base just screwed in place so that the margins are equal. Of course, this is not staying plumb, but when I do pull it out, I do notice that it's hitting up here just barely. So I'm probably going to take a power plane and trim this off a little bit when I get it off there, when I finally get the latch all set. But for now, there's not going to be a stop on here because the catch will be the stop. For now, I can work on the latch, and yeah, I think it's going to be all right. It's going to be a little push button thing that'll pivot on here, and it'll come up and down and latch on the jamb, just like yeah, very similar to the bookcase latch. And if it's not going to stay down, I might end up putting drill a hole, put a little spring in here so that it'll always be closing anyways, because it doesn't have a long pivot arm. All right, that's the plan. You can see where I'm at. You can see I had to chop that baseboard because when you open up the door, you imagine there's going to be casing on here. It's going to hit the casing. So I wanted to be able to open up the door, you know, 90 degrees at least, maybe 110, maybe 120, just so that the opening into the pantry is pretty small. Yeah, I can't have it open all the way just because of the way it's built. Anyway, it'll keep fat people out of the pantry, and it'll encourage skinny people to go in there. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying. All right, I gotta get back to it. All right, here's my little tiny welding table. So if I ground to that and just push this on there, lay on there, it'll make ground, because I can't put the grounding clamp on such a small piece. Anyway, this is 5/16 rod. I think it's hot roll rod. And all I did was, this is the pivot point, which is these are all going to be cut off at some point. This is the pivot point which goes through the door frame, and this is the piece that's going to catch on the latch. And there's going to be a piece welded on the top here which will push down, which will raise the latch up. You'll be able to open the door. And I think I'll attach the spring right here to pull it back down. So all I'm going to do is kind of plug weld. I'm going to hold these rods back 1/16 of an inch and go burr, burr, and then grind those off flush. because I don't want any weld on that side over there. Because that's the side that's going to be rubbing, and I want it to be nice and smooth. Now I'm going to put a plastic washer on this so that it has some, so that the metal is not right against the wood. All right, let me plug weld this, and then I'm going to try to keep these all square, and we'll go from there. All right, there it is. It's got way too much weld on it. I'm going to grind that all off and check. This is the only one that really needs to be perfectly square, because that's the pivot. But they look pretty good. I already picked it up with the gloves. I can't touch it now, it's hot. But I'm going to grind that off, check all that for square, and then I may have to cut this off to try to fit it in the door. Next step is to grind that and fit it in the door. All right, this is what I came up with. I'm not going to fully install it because I want to take it and paint it black. But I'll show you how it all goes together. Let's see here. Hold on. So, we put a washer on that side. And then that slides into there, like that. This over here, this washer is long. This stud, 5/16 stud, is long enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, when I get it painted, I'm going to actually peen this over, and it's going to permatize that right on there. And then, since it doesn't want to come back down on its own, what we have here is a little spring. And that nail goes through there. I'm going to figure out something a little better than the nail. Hopefully you can see this. And then hopefully that will slide. I have it backwards. It really only goes on one way. Okay. Come on, there. There's a little notch. Oh boy. There's a little notch in this stud so that that top piece of spring doesn't slide off. And when you go like that, of course, I've got to widen this a little bit. It's actually hitting right there and getting stuck. But that's what's going to happen. You're going to reach from the other side, push down on this tab. This will lift up and out of the catch. And then you'll be able to open it up. So I left this long. I'm going to paint this and get this all installed. And then I'm going to make the catch up and actually figure out where that goes. And hopefully it doesn't run into this too badly. And it looks like it is. That's right. What I had thought was I am going to have to probably route a channel in here back. There's just so little extra room. Yeah, it's a tight fit, but I think it'll work pretty good. Pretty simple. You'll be able to close it, lift that up, and open it right up. And yeah. All right, let me take this up the house, spray paint that black, and have lunch. And we'll come back and we'll mess with the latch and see how badly we've screwed this up. All right, this is what I came up with. So that closes nicely. Getting the camera angle here. Can you see that? And then it's just, of course, this is going to be pulled up a ways. When I install it, the margin isn't quite right. Just pull your foot, push down. I actually got to, it does work pretty good. I do have to wax this in here, I think, and that will take care of that issue. But there we have it. I'm going to actually put it in the finish room and start putting on some finish so that I can get this thing out of my shop. And they're going to be back. These people are away. They're going to be back in 2 weeks. I'd like to have it installed. So there you have it. I'm just going to go spray some finish on. You can't be in there for that. And I'll see you in a little bit. All right, I just stapled on the back onto the carcass. This side never got sprayed on purpose because I want to cover up these things. I probably could fill them and they would look terrible. And what I decided to do was, I got to actually sand off this little ridge here. I decided to make this little strip. It's 3/4 of an inch by 1/4. And it's just going to go from the top and the two sides, not the bottom. It's only going to cover up the staples. And once I get that on and sanded, it's going to go back into the finish room and spray the back side here. I'll have to put a couple of 3 coats on here. And then this is ready to take down and take down and install. So there you have it. I'm going to glue and pin nail that in place because the pins are so small it won't matter. All right, there it is. That little band is all stapled on. I've got to do some sanding on it. I got to clean up some glue that escaped over here. That's not good. And then I'll take it in the finish room and spray that. And the next time you see me, we'll be in the house installing it. So stick around. It's not going to happen until tomorrow because today is Sunday. See you later. All right, I am in the same house that has the bookcase, the hidden bookcase door up to the secret room. And if you watched that video, hopefully you have. I think it was like 2 or 3 videos back. But I just finished installing the next project, which is a wine door, which is this one. And I can't really back up too far, because it's kind of in a narrow hallway. And you saw me building it. And just push down on the latch. And it opens up to a little pantry. So that's pretty cool. Up till now they've had just an open, no door to the pantry. And never seen it, but I think that's pretty cool. It's got hopefully room for 2 bottles. And I just was so limited in the width that I made it as wide as I could. And the latch seems to work really nice. It's actually got a little vacuum and compression when you close it, which is kind of cool. That's pretty neat. And it doesn't open all the way because you can see the baseboard hits down at the bottom. But anyone opening it is going to be going into the pantry, and that's as wide as I can make it. Just trying to make the space as user-friendly. And you can see I've got some big GRKs holding this jam in. I'm a little nervous about the weight, but not too bad. I think it'll work all right. All right, that's the end of this video. I have no idea what is coming up in the next video. But if you like this kind of stuff, please consider subscribing or passing the word on to your friends. And that's how the channel grows. So thanks again for watching, and stick around for another exciting video.